so I always been a huge animal lover. As a kid, my family kept a ton of different weird pets. Naturally, I've always intended to keep pets of my own when I moved out. Unfortunately, the college I attended requires that all incoming students stay in dorms on campus during their first year, and they have a very strict anti-pet rules. It honestly felt weird not having any animals around me for that whole year, considering that they've been a constant in my life for as long as I can remember. Instead of breaking any rules though, I've been volunteering at the animal shelter in town to compensate for the lack of critters in my own home. I've entered my second year of school now, and I, along with a good friend of mine, managed to get my own apartment. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, but for a couple college students, it's pretty damn nice. Obviously, the most exciting part of getting your own place, to me at least, was finally be able to take in a pet. My roommate, who's always been vocally proclaimed to be a huge cat person, also became very eager. When I asked him if he would be willing to share our space with a cat of our own, I personally would prefer a dog, but cats are much more convenient for us, considering how busy both our lives are. As soon as I'd given the green light to both my roommate and landlord, I started paying special attention to the cats at the shelter, trying to scope out any that I'd be interested in adopting. I was really just waiting for a new litter of playful kittens to come in, as I knew that neither I nor my roommate had time to put the proper care into gaining the trust of one of the shyer older cats. Because of that, you can imagine my surprise when my roommate surprised me by bringing him back a cat that he found. This thing was ancient by cat standards, and looked that way too much with tired eyes, scruffy fur, and numerous scars that implied a lifetime spent on the streets. Most strikingly, however, was the fact that he looked almost exactly like my favorite ever childhood cat. An old Tom named Scrappy who lived around our property. Scrappy was an asshole, to just about everyone, but for some reason he loved me. He was my best friend for years during childhood. Before he died after consuming rat poison, he had back fur and yellow eyes with a large tear in his right ear. This new cat looked exactly the same, except on this cat the tear was on the left ear. Maybe it was just resemblance to my long lost childhood pet, but something about this cat just clicked with me. My roommate and I were both ecstatic to have him. The first day we brought Scruffy, I thought the name sounded a bit like Scrappy. Home, the neighbor's dog went absolutely crazy. I probably would have brushed it off had it been any other dog, but I never heard so much as a peep out of that dog before this. My roommate just brushed it off by saying the dog could probably smell Scruffy, and it was plausible enough to respond to me. So I never thought that much of it. I think I'm reconsidering that now. For the first few weeks, Scruffy was amazing. He was incredibly playful and affectionate. Despite his age, I spent as much time as he possibly can curled up next to the nearest person he can find. Him being a street cat at heart, he hates being contained during the day, so we leave a window open for him to come in and out as he pleases. Though he usually prefers to stay inside when both of us are home. Him being a cat, it wasn't long before he started bringing home gifts from outside. At first, it was just normal cat things, mice, lizards, and whatnot, but then these things got more impressive. First, it was a rabbit. I admit I was kind of shocked when he tried that thing in, but I brushed it off pretty easily. He lived on the streets before this, so of course he had to be a good hunter. After that, it was a goose. That was really something. Not only because geese are fucking scary, but also because it was winter, and as far as I had known, they all migrated. I remember when I was a kid, I managed to befriend one and keep him during the winter, but even he flew off eventually. The other weird thing about the goose was the fact that when I tried to touch it, Scruffy snarled at me and dragged it away. I assumed that this behavior was just a source of regarding problems Scruffy had, but he'd never been aggressive to me before when he brought in smaller animals. I decided to brush it off. No, as long as the goose wasn't left there rotting on my bed, I didn't really care what Scruffy did with it. Another recent development was the fact that the dog barks its damn head off in the middle of the night. I'm trying to tell myself just because of coyotes or something, but the barks are like clockwork. 3 a.m. every goddamn night. Scruffy brought me a few weird things as a goose. He brought in a type of finch I've never seen in my area, a chameleon, and disturbingly a served raccoon paw. The oddest thing about this is the fact that all of these creatures were things that my family kept as pets. Every single one of them. We kept flinches. We had a chameleon for a while, and we rescued a baby raccoon once it was raised. I'll admit it kind of creeped me out, but the most recent gift Scruffy bought is easily some of the most scariest shit I've ever experienced. I woke up to a severe dog head on my bed. It was small, but definitely a dog. Its collar was still wrapped around its bloody neck. This was the first gift that actually got a scream out of me. Once I'd gone over the original horror of finding it there, I felt terrible for the dog. I checked the tag on the collar in order to give the dog's owners the awful calling, hoping I could at least offer some closure about their pet. When I read the tag, my heart stopped. There was no number, just an address. It was an old address. It was an old address to my childhood best friend, who moved away when I was about 9. Worse yet, the address didn't exist anymore. The area where my friend's house had been demolished and replaced with a small shopping center a few years back. As I was trying to process this, Scruffy realized that I was touching the dog, bit my hand, and dragged the head away. I was still absolutely horrified, but when I tried to explain it to my roommate, he told me to stop creeping him out. Scruffy hasn't brought me any gifts since, but he has been doing something far worse. Every night he screams at the window. When I say scream, I mean like it sounds like human, like a man trying to sound like a cat yowling, but not quite getting there. Whenever Scruffy starts, the dog shuts up and sometimes mid-bark. I was shocked that my roommate didn't bring it up. I assume he was trying to not accept how scary this whole thing is. Today was the final straw. My room over the past few weeks has been smelling progressively worse, and I assume it was because I'm admittedly awful about doing laundry, but always felt for some reason weird. Last night I found the source though. I woke up to Scruffy screaming. I have a huge exam in a few days, so I'm hoping I was fed up and I just had to go and shut the window that Scruffy always looks out when he yells. Hoping I could get some sleep. When I put my foot on the ground, I felt something licking my bed, just slobbering all over it. I thought it was Scruffy trying to groom me, but the tongue felt too big, too soft to be his eyes. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I realized that Scruffy was still on the window sill and not under my bed. I turned on the light and almost puked. Every single animal Scruffy had guarded from me was stashed under my bed. The goose, the finch, the chameleon, the raccoon paw, the doghead was just seemingly staring at me. At this point, Scruffy had run somewhere else in the house, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. My roommate ran as soon as I did, in panic, then disgusted at the pile of bodies under my bed when he asked what happened. I tried to explain how Scruffy had been bringing me gifts, how every night he curled up with me and only to wake up and yowl in early morning. At the last part, my roommate looked confused. What do you mean? Suddenly, I was just as confused as he was. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean he sleeps with you every night? He does. He curls up with me every evening. Then what the hell have I been sleeping with? I wanted to say thank you for hearing this video. I was planning to post, but I got lazy again. I'm really trying to post right now. I'm really trying to get my comfort zone. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I did struggle a bit more in doing this one. This was a much longer video I did. But make sure you guys do like, subscribe. If you guys want to hear more, just let me know. If you have any advice for me, just let me know too. So yeah, bye.